G'day, this is Ian here. Today, you can see I've been doing some renovation in my bathroom, but in the process of fixing my house, I've got out the last part of my collection. So if you remember over some videos last year, I said I've been selling stuff, and the truth is I've sold so much stuff. This is really getting to the end of it now, but I thought this would be a good chance to just show what I've got left. Now, primarily I love Transformers, but toys in general, I'm a fan of quite a lot of things. And over the years, I've been a mint in sealed box, mint on card, as well as loose figure collector. So it wouldn't be unusual for me to get 3 of many different figures and at least 2 of the majority. So what I have focused on when liquidating my collection has been just selling everything that's loose. So everything that's loose and everything that I don't love. So what we've got left now is stuff that I really like quite a lot, but honestly some of it's got to go, and if it doesn't go, I've got to get rid of some of these boxes, because I've had enough of this stuff in my life taking up space, and no matter how much I love it, there comes a point where you just can't appreciate it because it's too much. So that's what's happening now, and that's what I'm in the process of doing. So these plastic tubs, which in my hallway here there are 24 of, are mainly full of stuff in boxes now. Originally they were full of loose toys, but if I get up close you can see this has got a lot of sealed SH Monster Arts in it. What have we got down here? There's Grimlock and Swoop mint in sealed box from Energon, some classics. Down here, Armada on card. It's just loads and loads of toys. In my bedroom, I have another huge pile of stuff, but I don't really want to show my bedroom. It's a little bit, that's too private. But what I'm going to do in this video is mainly just go through this stuff. It's like maybe some toy porn. You can watch me open stuff that I wouldn't have opened in the past and crush a bunch of these boxes. And one more thing in my hallway before I get out of here is this pile here, which is also quite huge in and of itself, is in the process of being sold. So I don't want to count them, but that's a shitload of stuff. Okay, what have we got here? Transformers Energon Scorponok. Now I gotta tell you, I feel like I've had a pole stuck up my ass for the last 30 years collecting Transformers, because all this time I've kept everything nice and crisp and in little plastic baggies and catalogued with the weapons and the instructions and the whole deal. It's just, I feel like the weight of collecting this stuff has bogged me down, and so breaking these guys open is like a real pleasure. It's been so long since I broke open Scorponok for the first time. I just sold my loose version of this not long ago, so I mean I'm very well acquainted with this toy. But this is how toys are meant to be experienced, and goodbye to mint in sealed box. You may think there is a fresh, minty new toy smell, but alas, I will tell you that the only smell that I can smell coming out of this mint in sealed box Transformer is mold. So no matter how good I've kept these, with how nice and shiny these boxes look, there's a bit of mildew happening inside. So I don't know what long-term effects that would have, but nothing lasts forever. And you know what? These things weren't meant to last forever. Never liked Mirage. I've always thought, what the hell are they doing? What happened to Tidal Wave? But despite my disdain for the character change, he is probably the best boat transformer that we've ever had. But it's not just Energon. What's this? BTS-01. Third-party goodness. Armada Predacon, which is based off Megatron from Beast Wars. In all seriousness, though, I think there's a point to be made here that I feel like collecting this stuff has become some kind of mental illness. I've always been the kind of person who, you know, I pay my bills, I spend time with my kids, I work a lot. I did everything that I'm supposed to do, and I viewed this as a kind of outlet, maybe some kind of fun. But I think there comes a point where the importance of things can get out of balance. So for a long time, maybe not externally, but in my mind, the importance of collecting these things has been too heavily weighted, and you know what I cared about in the world maybe shouldn't have been exactly where it needed to be. And as I get older, like I'm turning 40 this year, and you might think, well, what is this, a midlife crisis? But not really. I just think when we're in our younger years, you know, collecting stuff, it might just start off innocent fun, and we don't really think about the future so much. But as you get older, you know that, you know, you're not going to be around forever, and you have to choose, how do you really want to spend your time and your money and your thought process. And that's not to say that I don't still really enjoy this stuff, because honestly, I've always loved Transformers and robots since basically the first things that I can remember. I still buy them. Like I recently bought tracks. Over here we've got, you know, honestly I can't remember what they call this guy, but we all know it's Galvatron. I'm still buying this stuff. I still love it. Whether I've been reviewing it or not is a different question. And that's partly comes down to, you know, I've been doing more real world things. Just trying to get the most. I've been working more, fixing my home, going to restaurants with my kids, just doing things that I feel like are valuable in the long term. I'm still having my fun. Just the other day I ordered, for me at least, my first 2 parts of the Toy World Devastator. I'm really looking forward to that. I love Devastator, and the bigger the better. And to me it looks really, really G1 looking, which is what I want, like cartoon based G1 looking, which I like. I know it's Studio Ox, but you know what I mean. I just need to have a bit of space to allow myself to enjoy awesome things like this and not be bogged down in 30 years of stuff that's gone before. Another driving force behind me wanting to shrink down this collection and shrink down my duplication has been the arrival of third party. So up until third party was a common thing and you could just buy virtually any character, we had to put up with whatever Hasbro would release. Now some of the things were cool, like I've been showing you Energon toys back here, which I really liked in particular, but you know, each to his own. Some people liked other stuff. But when we got to third party, we got a number of toys which ended up, for me at least, being definitive versions of characters. And I just feel like once you've got that sweet spot of exactly how you want it to look, that there's not as much need to keep other toys lying around. Now I guess this might be Muddy. I think this is Muddy. Looks like Sludge. This might not be a great example because we are going to get a better version of Sludge soon, which I also have ordered already. But you know, I love this Toy World version, and I'm sure I'm going to love the Fans Toys one when it comes out. Now, apart from third party just giving us definitive versions, I mean, obviously we've got, like, seriously, Masterpiece have been, at least for the last 5 years, giving us pretty damn definitive versions as well. I mean, look at that. That's freaking Optimus Prime. You can't do better than that. So all of these other series which have come before, there's no need to cling on to them. I mean, for some people, G1 is a thing and they can't let go of that. I've dumped G1 because for me, again, in comparison to Masterpiece and third party, I just found a lot of it lacking. I've kept a few, like I like my Shockwave here. That's more sentimental. So any G1 which I've got still hanging around here, it's basically sentimental reasons. There's been the odd series that I really found fantastic. Like I liked Transformers Animated. So even though not all of the toys were exactly how I want them to be, I ended up collecting everything in at least doubles from Transformers Animated. And that's just because I found the show so compelling that I wanted to have representations of them. But really, since Animated, there's been nothing that I cared about that much. And this diminishing interest in the media has resulted in an equally diminished interest in the toys. I guess for some people watching this video out there, you might be thinking, oh, Dean, what are you doing? Sell the mint in sealed box stuff and keep the loose ones. Why would you collect toys to keep the shittiest version? Do you understand what I mean? I want the ones that I want to keep, I want to have nice toys. I don't want to keep the used old toys. I want to open up nice fresh ones and then get rid of the ones I don't want. So keeping the shitty ones and selling the ones in boxes, it just it sort of defeats the whole purpose of collecting toys in the first place. I mean, if I was doing it to make money, if this was some kind of investment, which it's not, and it should never be for anyone because this is a ridiculous way to make money. If it's some kind of investment, I should be putting my money into a real investment, not into toys. So to answer the question, why open up so many of the mint and sealed box? It's because I like them. I want to have them. I want to have them nice. So I want to keep the one that's nice and fresh. But I guess if money is a concern to some people who are holding on to old stuff like this, let's talk about money and what you can really expect to get. So the first thing I want to say about money and toys is that it is very hard to sell toys like this. I mean, if you're going to sell them one by one, you will never be finished doing. There's packaging, buying sticky tape. You either buy cardboard boxes or you fold them up yourself. You have issues in communicating with people, emails to send, messages to respond to, various listings on different websites to constantly update and refresh so that they keep going because they don't last forever. Sometimes you have to pay, depending on where you're listing things, you have to pay for the right to list them there, and it is quite a hassle. So you'll find that ultimately the only way to get rid of any big size collection is to start bundling things up and selling them in lots, which is exactly what I started doing from day one because, I got a lot of patience, but this was a big collection. So I've been continuously selling stuff now for, hardcore for a year, but about 2 years if I go right from the beginning. And I've moved just through one series after another. And I can tell you that I have got nowhere near what I paid. Doing it in bundles and just trying to do it with the least hassle is definitely not going to get you back the money that you spent on it. And what kind of investment is that? That means over time it's actually shrunk. If you have there are definitely going to be some pieces in your collection that are more desirable than others, and you might get 4 or 5 times what you paid for something. But on the bulk, on the majority of those things that you're holding onto in your collection, if you're thinking to sell it at some future time, nobody wants them, and the only way you're going to get rid of them is to do them in some huge lot. The kind of series that you're probably going to make the most on is To My Disgust movie. So I've got rid of just about everything movies, a few bits or pieces lying around here. You can see I've got this Takara Jetfire. You can tell by the brown plastic there, that's the wrong gun. I've got the right gun in a baggie somewhere, but this Takara Jetfire, now I've sold a bunch of Jetfires. I had 2 Takaras and 3 Hasbro. This is my last one. People really want this shit. I don't understand. It's a hideous, look at the undercarriage of this guy. You can sell this very easily. Stuff like this. Everything that I had that was movie, I got a good price and it flew out the door. And virtually anything that was movie, people just wanted to buy it. And the same goes for a lot of older classics stuff. it's pretty popular. G1 is just, people will buy anything G1. So as long as it's not broken, if you've got reasonably good quality G1 toys, very easy to sell. Everything else is dead in the water, and it's very slow. Third party sells pretty well too, but the thing with third party toys is that these companies are not like Hasbro. They don't just do one run. Most third party toys continuously get produced after they've been made because the volume is smaller. I'm guessing the molds don't break, or they don't have to stick to the media. They can just produce whatever sells. So if you've got third-party toys, the price is not going up. The majority of third-party toy prices, they might have a spike initially, and maybe they will plateau a little bit higher than what they originally were. But if you look at, like, for example, these are still being made. This has been out for ages. Muddy is still being made and sold. Look at this. What's his name? Hercules robots. Now there's been so many versions of Devastator, they're virtually worthless. So, don't get an inflated opinion about how much money that you're going to make unless you've just got loads of movie toys. Another good thing to keep in mind if you are buying for the purpose of selling, which shouldn't, is that cheaper stuff like this is not likely to get any more valuable over time. It's a cheap ass toy. It's not very good quality, a lot of the modern stuff. And the fact that it was cheap to start off with is the main contributing factor as to why it will remain cheap, because everybody could afford to buy it, and everybody did. Everybody who wanted it, like this Rat Trap, pretty much everyone who wanted Rat Trap bought Rat Trap. A lot of people probably bought 2 or 3. Now, if you want something that's going to go up, you have to get something that nobody could afford to buy. So you need to be selling stuff that was very expensive to start off with. If you've got things that were really expensive, the chances are now they're going to be a lot more expensive because everyone who wanted it initially just couldn't get it. And I've found that to be true. And that's true even with Hasbro stuff. I know scarcity played some factor, but I've sold 2 Metroplexes in the last year, like Generations Metroplex, and they got good prices. Like I doubled my money at least on both of those. And that's just because between scarcity and the fact that people who wanted it couldn't afford it at the time because of high postage costs and whatnot, that it's desirable. Whereas something like this, not so much. So for me, how does that pan out in dollar terms? Well, let's just say a good estimate of what I would have spent to get this stuff initially over the years might be $50,000 if you add it up over a very long time. Based off the last couple of years, I think I've sold about 15,000 plus worth of stuff. So that's quite a big reduction in value. Now that's coming from, as I've said, a person who bundled everything and didn't particularly go out of his way to maximize the money. If you did everything you could to maximize your return, I don't think that you could get better than 20,000 off that 50,000 initial spend. And that's just because a lot of what you would have bought, if you've been collecting whole series with dud figures and all, a lot of that just isn't going to be worth that much. Personally, I've been happy to get that money back because up until this point, at least, I haven't sold anything that I didn't want to get rid of anyway. What I did with that money was some things that I hadn't done before. I used $4,000 out of that money to buy my girlfriend an engagement ring. She liked that, that's for sure. I left the country for the first time. I had never been overseas. I went on a trip to Thailand and just experienced traveling and a different way of life. I had no idea how people in other places really live, and I feel that I've expanded myself in some way by going and doing that. So I don't really even feel any loss. I feel like I am more of a person, more of a real person than I was before I sold that stuff because of the kind of cool life experiences I got from doing it. I guess that just about is all I want to show. I mean, this could go on forever. I have so much. After I wrap up this video, I'll keep going until I have a mountain of garbage. But I just wanted to touch on why it is that so many of us middle-aged guys these days are actually, addicted to buying this stuff. And it might sound crazy, but I feel like it all boils down to family life. So the time Transformers came out, a lot of us were in environments where we had family breakdown, or one at least of our parents. In the 80s, divorce really took off, and my dad didn't live with me. He left, and that was a big blow to me emotionally at the time. And who filled that void? I mean, looking back on it now, I see Optimus Prime. He was a real father figure to me, and I would wait for that show to come out every week, and I would see Optimus always had the solutions, and the Autobots, everybody in the team. There was the bunch of guys who all had a place and a role to fulfill, and you could look at them and you could say that's like a family unit. They're like a cool bunch of friends. They don't let each other down. They stand for something. They all have their own competencies, and it's a team that I would really love if I grew up to be part of something like that. So the picture that was given to us, guys my age who probably came from not so great backgrounds where things might have been a little bit dysfunctional, was that you could have that, just be part of the team. You could be like these Autobots, the Transformers. So it had a really strong pull, and I feel like that's the reason I was pulled so hard into Transformers at that time, and it just stuck with me. As I grew up, I feel like I carried that message inside up until I had my own family, and it just something that always resonated with me, and something I never wanted to just totally give up on. So when I grew up, I kept playing with toys, which is, for anyone watching this video, I'm guessing some kind of similar story might be at play there. And the funny thing is, with my own kids, there's always been Transformers here, and I always encourage them to like them just because I like them so much, without forcing it on them. But my own kids never got that attached to anything, and perhaps that's because their life has been so good that without any kind of lacking, they just didn't need that narrative so much, which in a way makes me feel good, because it just means they're happy. It also could have something to do with scarcity. I was pretty poor when I was a kid, and my kids have never gone without anything, so it could just be related to wanting the toys so much when I was young, and so when I grew up I could afford them, I bought them. I'm not really sure. So that just about sums it up for this video, except to say the problem doesn't just end with Transformers. There are so many other things here which I'm also going through, a lot of which I'm in the process of selling, as well as Transformers. So thank you for watching. I hope this sheds some light. I know I've mentioned selling stuff so many times in videos since last year, and I just wanted to make this video to to put it all out there and underline exactly how much stuff I need to get rid of, and that I still love Transformers. I always will. They're some of my favorite things. The cartoon, especially G1, has a really important place to me, and I'm never going to not like Transformers. I just don't like having so much stuff. I'm Odin. Thanks for watching.